All right, guys, today's lesson is all about creating speed in the golf swing. I promise you I will keep this simple. That's my jam, is taking sort of complex ideas and breaking them down into salient points that are easy to understand and, more importantly, easy to implement. But before we get started, if you're not subscribed to the channel, would certainly love to welcome you aboard. So let's talk about speed for a minute. We've got a lot of different forces in the golf swing. People ask me, well, where does speed come from? It really comes from a symphony of motions that come together within a thousandth of a second at the point of collision, right? When the club hits the golf ball. Your goal is for your club head to peak at that point of impact. And that's not that easy because we've got a lot of moving parts. We've got our lower body, we've got our upper body, we've got our arms, the hands, and finally the club head. And everything gets directed to the ball in that order. It's a kinetic chain. Lower body, upper body, arms, hands, and club. We understand that. We know that. The challenge we've got is a lot of people that try to do that do it really ineffectively. In fact, a lot of golfers don't have the strength and mobility to transfer that energy kinematically from the ground into the club head. It makes it very difficult if you're trying to work on getting that lower body open and getting your right side bent down in here and get into some of these dynamic positions that you see with tour players when you've never really learned how to articulate your wrists and swing your arms faster. And that's really what today's lesson is all about. If you can do this proficiently, the beauty of it is you'll be able to swing with less effort you've ever swung in your life, and you're going to hit the ball a lot further. And of course, you see that with all good players. That shot there I hit, 170, 180, just a really nice smooth 7-iron for me. Didn't really swing hard at all. I've got 10 more yards in there if I want to hit it further, and all I do is really just move my arms faster. If I move my arms faster, if I get more energy in the club head back here, it translates immediately and you see the speed jump up. So let's talk about the two forces when it comes to the hands and arms. We've got linear force and we've got angular force. Linear speed, angular speed. And I've talked about angular speed before. I've not really talked about linear speed. Linear speed is applying force or speed in the grip with the arms in the transition. So we're actually applying force in a linear fashion here. We create angles on the way back. We're certainly not releasing those angles immediately as we change direction. What we are doing, of course, is we're moving our arms very, very quickly. The best golfers in the world move their arms extremely quickly in the transition. Most people don't realize that. We want to create some energy in the club head fairly early in the transition. Important that we get the club a little bit further away from us, because obviously the further we can get the club away from us, the more momentum we're able to create as we approach impact. If you've got a little tiny backswing, you've got a lot less time to create that energy. If you've got a longer backswing, you've got more time to create that energy. You need to really get the hands above the heel line. If I draw a line straight down back here, if I can get my hands above my heel line, it just sets us up for success as we change direction. What we don't want to be doing is lifting with the arms. So what drill can we use to give us that feeling of getting some liveliness into the club head? Well, I've seen Justin Rose work on this. We've seen Rory McIlroy work on this. And again, it's interesting when you do this drill, just split your hands on the golf club here. Just take your regular grip, split your hands. You might have your forefinger and thumb on the actual shaft itself. And then go to the top of the backswing. Get that nice wind if you can. Get your hands away from your body. Again, try and get some width, try and create some space, give those hands more time. But I'm going to go ahead and give this a couple of pumps here. And I'm really going to move my arms as fast as I can, but I'm going to try and keep my back facing the target or my chest facing behind me as long as possible as I do that. What I don't want to be doing is spinning my way to more speed here. What I want to do here is I want to stall the spin phase, keep my back to the target. That way I can get my arms dropping, okay? Because your arms control the verticals in the downswing, a little bit like an elevator in a building, okay? So we go to the top of the backswing here. Our arms control our verticals and our body controls the horizontals. So what we've got here is a marriage between the arms dropping and the body turning, and that's really what makes a golf swing. So face on here, we're going to go to the top, demonstrate some linear force here as I go to the top of the backswing, keep my back to the target, and you can see I'm getting those arms working pretty darn quickly. Most amateurs are still getting to the top of their backswing as tour players are already down here at P6. All right, P6 is your delivery position. You'd be amazed how quick tour players get from here to here compared with amateurs. Amateurs are kind of slow back, and then they're jumping out of it right here. Well, we want to create energy as quickly as we can. We want to create some energy on the way back. We're going to create some energy on the way down. It doesn't mean you're releasing the club early. What it means is we're getting the arms moving faster as we change direction, okay? Now, watch what happens when I stop right here and I rapidly decelerate. I go from accelerating to decelerating. I want you to see what happens to the club head as I do that. Keep my back to the target. And that club head just wants to take off towards the ground. Can you see that? So there it goes. So it just wants to go. It wants to come out as we strike the golf ball. I keep turning as linear forces start to become angular forces. But we've got to start with the linear first. We've got to speed those arms up as we change direction. Don't speed your body up. Speed your arms up. So allow that right arm, guys, from the top of the backswing, 90 degrees here, 45 degrees when it's down in front of you. So the right arm is gradually starting to straighten as we transition. Gosh, I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to about this confusion between, releasing the club early. I'm going to go ahead and put a little video up here. It's called the lag paradigm. You should check that out. I did that a couple months ago. Really important to understand. But again, trying to keep the right arm in this 90-degree position, eventually that gets the club so pinched in behind you, you wind up having to early release the golf club, causes all sorts of trouble. So we want that right arm to feel like it's coming down in front of us. It's definitely less bent than it was at the top of the backswing. And then from here, this is where the magic happens. This is when we're going to go ahead and convert those linear forces into angular forces. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take this midpoint between my two hands here. And what we're going to do is we're going to pivot the golf club right here. This is the important part, guys. This is the angular speed. I'm going to do it at horizontal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the butt end of the golf club, and this point here where I've accelerated to here, I've got a lot of acceleration. My hands at this point are going to start to slow down. Once the hands slow down, I pivot around the center of the grip right between my two hands. And what I'm going to do is get the club out in front of me. I'm essentially throwing the club out. A little bit like throwing a golf ball. We're going to go ahead and just let it go right here. What we're not going to do is we're not going to drag the hands forward and have your hands and the club head moving at the same speed. You do that, you're not transferring any energy into the club head whatsoever. If you want to create angular speed, the midpoint between your hands needs to slow down and the club simply changes direction as the body turns through. So as we go to the top of the backswing, our arms are moving faster. And then what we're going to do here is the butt end of the club's going to work towards us. The club head's going to work away from us. And all of a sudden, we're starting to engage these angular forces, which are so incredibly important. We need to have our club go home. We need to send it home. There's a place for it to go on the opposite side of your body. Once you start to get this feeling of arms dropping and wrists articulating, we've got linear, then we've got angular. That's how the arms work. Then the wrists start to engage. On the way through, we've got to allow the butt end of the club to change direction. So as we go into impacts, there's not a good player out there that doesn't know how to take the butt end of the club and then move it from this direction to the opposite direction in a very short space of time. In fact, the faster you do that, the further you're going to hit the golf ball. It's simple physics, guys, at the end of the day. So if I can take my golf club from this direction and move it in that direction very, very quickly, I'm going to create a ton of speed. And that's what most of you are not doing. Most of you are doing this. You can see here the club head and my arms and my chest are moving through the ball very much at the same time. It's not going to work. You're not going to hit it any further. You already know that because you've tried it. And the harder you swing, of course, the less distance you're getting. It's terribly frustrating. And most people are conflating the strength they have in their body, which is obviously where the majority of your mass is, with the speed in the hands and arms. And using the strength of your body to hit the golf ball doesn't necessarily transfer speed into the club head. So if I've got my hands and arms, my joints, my wrists, my elbows, very supple, almost dislocated, okay, it's going to transfer a lot easier than someone who's basically locked up in their wrists and in their joints at the top of the backswing, and they're trying to spin their body in with the idea that that's creating a lot of strength. If you're trying to spin your body to more speed, I've got news for you. It's just never going to happen. What drills can we do for angular force? Well, I've talked about this in a lot of my videos. I'm going to grab a 7-iron here. One of my favorite drills is an L to L or Hitch Hiker Drill. basically thumb a lift on the opposite side over here. So all we're doing here, this is a perfect case of swinging in balance, using the arms, articulating the wrists, and yes, rotating the body. Because again, if I get my body out of position here, I'm going to lose balance very, very quickly. So it really helps you rotate around your spine. Any early extension, you're going to lose balance. Any swaying, you lose balance. Any sliding, you lose balance. Just an absolutely wonderful drill. So put a ball on a tee, and let's see if we can integrate these ideas, the linear and angular forces. We're going to go to the top of the backswing, and we're going to get a little pump going here, okay? That's the feeling I want to have. My right arm is starting to straighten a little bit. It's not extending, guys, but it's starting to straighten a little bit. I'm essentially taking the golf club here, and I'm starting to lay it down. Can you see that? What I'm not doing is obsessing about trying to create all these angles and maintain them as long as possible. That doesn't work. So what we want to do here is go to the top of the backswing, get my arms working down in front of me. But what I'm doing, guys, I'm keeping my upper body facing back as long as possible here. Once I start to get those hands down in front of me, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to allow my wrist to relax, and I'm going to get the club moving in the opposite direction. My left elbow remains down. It does not work up. If your left elbow works up away from your body, you're going to be dragging the club head and your left arm at the same speed again. In other words, your ability to keep your left elbow down and in is what allows it to slow down. It's what gives it permission to decelerate. Remember, we decelerate here, we accelerate at this end over here. So that's one of the problems we have with these flying left elbows, is that obviously what it does, it has everything moving through at the same speed, doesn't allow the club head to speed up at all, okay? So all we do is drop the arms, articulate the wrists. You can see here my left elbow is pointing down, my club head is pointing up, and there's my angular speed, guys. Right here, whoop, opposite direction, okay? So we move from one direction to the other, all right? Boom, and I can really start to feel my wrists articulating here, okay? I'm gonna give it a little bit of a haircut down here and hear myself brushing the mat, and there's my speed, okay? Down the line, go ahead and give it a shot. Put your feet together. Don't overthink this. Go to the top, arms drop down. There's my elevator in the building. I'm going from the 10th floor to the 5th floor right here, allowing my arms to drop before my body spins, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow the club to rehinge on the opposite side of my body. Hit that one really nicely, okay? Butt end of the club, guys, pointing down right onto my target line. My left elbow is down. My club head is up. Okay, if I continue to swing through, the butt end of the club, guys, is pointing way out to the right as I keep turning through. That's a sure indication the club's being released freely. If I drag the handle, the butt end of the club's pointing in the complete opposite direction to where it should be pointing over here. So for you slicers, this is going to be a pearl you're definitely going to want to keep, okay? Work on these drills. Work on your split-handed pump drill. That addresses the linear force. And then work on your L to L drill. That addresses your angular force. And start to feel the combination between faster arms and faster hands as your body is turning. So that really, in summary, is what the golf swing is all about. You swing your arms freely from the right to the left side of your body as your body is turning. Your body plays an important role in supporting the swinging motion of the hands and the arms. No one is suggesting you stand here and just bat at it with your hands. That is not what I'm suggesting, I promise you. But most of you could use a lot of education in what your hands and arms are doing in your golf swing. So I hope this helps, okay? Work on the drills, work on the steps. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear from you. If you think this could help a friend, go ahead and share this video. We're off to the races, guys. I'm having a heck of a lot of fun here. I was able to build this studio over the last month or so, very much with the help of you. So I'm very grateful for that, and just enjoying the journey. So good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.